Welcome again then, and we hope you're ready for another fantastic session as the teams prepare to unleash their cars for qualifying at the Canadian Grand Prix. So then, Ant, it's another Grand Prix weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question is going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice, particularly as we've had a few support races in the meantime. If the brake bias settings, for example, don't take this into account, it's extremely easy to lock up a front wheel and cause a flat spot. Just like that, your lap's ruined and you've wasted a set of tyres to boot.
Good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Martin, Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid line-up for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race. We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. If you want flat-out racing, you've come to the right place this weekend, as it's full throttle for 59% of this 2.7-mile circuit, peaking at around 210 miles per hour going into the final chicane. But that speed requires discipline, and there are more than a few close walls here just waiting to punish drivers with a heavy right foot. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Martin. They're still relatively new to a sport which does have a high learning curve and, of course, little tolerance for mistakes.
And this is something that has ended the career of many a young driver, as that leap up to Formula One proves to be too much. But luckily in this case, I'd say they're doing a good, solid job, and the risk the team took in signing them is definitely starting to pay off.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Martin lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Stroll, Valtteri Bottas and Butler, Gasly, Vettel, Albon and Lando Norris, Raikkonen, Verstappen, Antonio Giovinazzi and Magnussen, Weber, Russell, Roman Grosjean and Robert Kubica, Ricciardo and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Race officials have enabled DRS. DRS is now available. Approaching the pit window, you'll be on the mediums. Let's use some of this energy. Increase the ERS deployment. We're leading our teammate by 5.6 seconds. box. We're coming in this lap. Okay, remember to pit this lap. Okay, we're definitely seeing some signs of abrasion on your tyres now. They should still be good to run on, but they won't be at their best. You need to slow down before hitting the corners. We don't want to get a penalty. Lance is in for his stop. Box this lap. Keep an eye on your distance to the speed limit line as you approach, and make sure you don't speed. Strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. We're running in excess of fuel. We can turn up the engine to mix mode 3 if you need it. Turn fuel to rich. Increase ERS deployment. It's time to use some of this charge. There's 5 laps of fuel remaining. This is your final lap of the race. There's 4 laps of fuel remaining. You worked hard for that one. Congratulations.
Racing Point deserved a win today, and they got it. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
Racing Point's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the veterans of the sport. They're making their way out to the podium now as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Martin increases their championship lead. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Racing Points move up to the top of the standings. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that.
I think it's great how much your team has been focused on developing your car. You had a close battle today, didn't you?
Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash? Appreciate your time.